If you're always debating which type of ad campaigns to run, and you're always looking at your ad performance, wishing it would do a bit better, it's all to do with the combination of setups that you've decided to use. And most people that are selling high ticket have a D tier setup without even realizing. So after spending $150,000 on ads in under 6 months, I'm going to rank for you today what I found to work best as an ad campaign setup from pure experience, no theory. We're going to be looking at everything from the type of platform, the targeting settings, the creative to use, all of it. And yes, there's one category that every single coach thinks is S tier, but is actually a trap. So let's begin and start off with the platform. Now, as you can see here, these are the main platforms that most people tend to advertise on when they're looking to sign clients. Now, specifically for high ticket offerings, I'm going to break down which one works best and why. So LinkedIn, very simply, is D tier. Now, LinkedIn has a good audience on it. The issue with LinkedIn is that, first of all, it's super expensive to advertise on. Second of all, the algorithm isn't as good as these other platforms. And third of all, the people on LinkedIn who would be interested in buying are overly advertised to and contacted in a way which is more frustrating than any other platform, right? You've got LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you've got LinkedIn Ads Now, you've got people connecting and following and sending message requests. It's not a great platform to use, and anyone that I've seen to use it always pivots away from it pretty quickly because of how expensive it is. Facebook, I'll give that B tier. Now, Facebook can be good. It has a good algorithm, and Meta in general is very good. The only typical issue that I find with Facebook is that in general, the demographic is aging, so it's a little bit older in general. So depending on your niche, you might struggle to get as good as return as some of the other platforms. And it's just filled with a lot of trolls, right? So you need to do a lot of targeting and filtering out to avoid out all the Karens that just love posting comments for no reason. So lead quality can be mixed. It can be good, but I wouldn't say it's the best one for sure. YouTube's really good. I'll put YouTube at A tier. YouTube's a great platform to advertise on. The only issue is for most people that are looking to advertise their high ticket services is that it is a lot more technical and it's a lot harder to set up, and the actual ads that you need to produce are a lot harder to produce. So from a skill set perspective, it's got a bigger barrier to entry, right? And if you're not super confident in your copywriting or how to use the Google Ads dashboard and all of those things, I wouldn't recommend it. Google, again, is good. That's between B and C tier. I'm going to put that at B tier for now. The reason being is that although Google is brilliant, there are some changing trends now in how people are advertising on Google, because Google has some new competition, and it's something called AI and ChatGPT. So what we're seeing is a lot of consumer trends changing and people moving towards ChatGPT and doing their searches on there. So if people are switching there to search, then it means less people are switching to Google to search. And I can even say that for myself, right? Like if I need to find something, I more now use ChatGPT rather than Google. So that will create some uncertainty for people advertising on these platforms. TikTok is good for e-commerce, but for high ticket, it's D tier. Like the type of person that is sitting on TikTok all day is nowhere near the quality of everybody else. And again, if you're looking to somebody to sign up for you for 3, 5, or even 10K, you're going to find have a hard time with that on TikTok. S tier, very simply, Instagram. Instagram for sure is the best platform to advertise on for high ticket offerings. It's got the best algorithm. Once you know exactly how to do it, it's by far the most profitable and the cheapest place to advertise on. And it's got the best demographic range from what I've found in terms of if you've got a niche where typically your clients are younger or older, they're on there. And again, I've worked with coaches who are leadership coaches, working with some of the top CEOs and business people in the world, and we're finding them on Instagram as well rather than LinkedIn. So this is my list for platforms. Now let's move on to the next list, which is all about the concept of how to advertise. So this is really important, and this is where a lot of people mess up, and they think that the funnel is the typical approach. This is the funnel and this is the beaker approach. So what's really important to understand is that a funnel is just a concept towards how you generate an eyeball in a customer and you take them through the sales process to eventually turn them into a paying client, right? Now, funnels are just a concept in terms of how you take somebody through that process. And concepts are ideas, they're strategies that have been made up. They're not the be all and end all, but most people seem to think that they are. So a funnel for a higher ticket offering, yes, it works, yes, it's good, but for majority of people, I'm actually going to put this at a B tier. Now, the reason for that is because the funnel is designed to lose. If you literally look at the funnel there's a physical hole in the bottom, and that hole in the bottom represents the loss of lead flow. Because look, as everybody knows who's done anything like this before, not everyone is going to convert right away, and the percent of leads you're not going to hear from, and nothing's going to come from them initially. And the funnel's designed to physically lose those leads. But the issue with that is that 80 to 90% of the market isn't ready to buy right now, but 80 to 90% of the leads that you put through a funnel you never hear from and never see again. So that gives you such a small window to nurture or be able to nurture, and it's just literally wasted leads and wasted budget. So the typical funnel approach I don't recommend, because you waste so many leads and you waste so many opportunities that could convert down the line if you just put in a bit of an effort or took a concept and an approach which encaptured all leads. And that is where the Beaker approach comes in. And I'm putting that S tier without a shadow of a doubt. And the Beaker approach essentially is just a concept towards lead generation. It's about generating leads in a way where you don't lose a single lead that you generate. It's as simple as that, because otherwise, what's the point, right? If you're putting budget into ads and you're putting budget into generating these leads, but you're purposefully losing 80 to 90% of them, what is the point? And the reason that I took this shift in the way that I did advertising and focused more on capturing all of these leads that I did generate was because I would spend money on ads and I'm like, half these leads that I've got I never hear from. What is the actual point? Right? And then when I switched to the Beaker approach and the mindset of, okay, I want to try and capture as many of these leads as possible, I had leads who were coming back and converting and becoming clients months, years down the line. Whereas when I was using the typical funnel approach, where I was just sending as many people through as I could and full well losing most of them, no one ever came back. But with this Beaker approach and this sort of mindset, I was getting people coming back, and I still do get people coming back months, even years after initially talking to me. So this is what I'd recommend in terms of the type of concept to approach your lead generation and client acquisition with when thinking about how do I set up my campaigns. You want to set them up with the intention of capturing and keeping as many of those leads as humanly possible. And as I go through the rest of this tier list, it will explain how you actually do that. So now I want to look at and rank for you the best type of ad strategy. So when you're running ads, as you'll know, different ways that you can do this. Right, you can run people through to a webinar, you can do a low ticket offering to capture them, you can do a lead magnet, you can do a VSL, you can do a quiz. So I'm going to rank through all of these. Webinars, I'm going to put these at C tier. Now, although these are great because obviously it's long format and you can capture a lot of people and they spend a lot of time with you before you ever pitch them, the market's getting smarter now. Most people know and understand what this is and how this works, and most people just have that resistance to it now. As well as that, it's complex to set up. You need an extremely high skill set to be able to speak at that extent of time to retain all of those, as many of those people as possible. And then you have to be brilliant at upselling to actually make any conversions. So for most coaches, for most high ticket offers, when you don't have the time and energy to be creating something of that depth, I wouldn't recommend that. Low ticket, very simply, is D tier. Like if you're selling anything high ticket, trying to capture people originally with low ticket is just making your life harder, because you don't need to do it, right? All of the business that I've ever captured for myself through advertising, I've sent them through to something where they opt in, didn't have to buy anything, booked a call in some way or dynamic, and then they still end up buying the high ticket thing. If you do low ticket, you now have to convince someone to buy on the front end, then you have to make it super attractive to then have that upsell in the back end, and which makes you then have to become a master at upselling, and just adds more complexity to your life than you need. So I wouldn't recommend it. And again, the amount of time and energy you'll go and put into setting up something low ticket, you can put it into the same amount of time and energy into just going straight for high ticket, and you'll still make those sales, right? Quiz funnel, they're okay. I'll put them in C tier. Like, they don't particularly excite me. There's nothing particularly special about them. And it takes a lot of trial and error to make a quiz that actually works, people want to go through and they find value in opting in for. So I wouldn't recommend that. VSL, A tier. VSL you can't go wrong with. Like, a lot of people have this skepticism around VSLs where they actually think like, oh, they don't work anymore, people are used to them. But a good VSL that positions you differently and actually makes you sound different to all of your competitors goes miles, right? And VSLs is one of the campaigns that I still run to this day for myself, as well as the other one I'm about to introduce to you. And they're extremely profitable once you do them right. Now that leaves us with the last one, which is lead magnets, and that is S tier. Now you're probably thinking lead magnet, right? Isn't that a typical funnel approach? Like, why are we going for a lead magnet as the best one? I completely disagree, and I'm going to show you what I actually do differently when it comes to lead magnets in a moment. But that is the type how I would rank different ad strategies. So make note of this, keep up to date with this, so you know essentially what to do and what not to do as you're going through this process of optimizing your ad campaigns. So now let's look at the actual type of lead magnets, right? Because I've mentioned lead magnets, but what one's actually best? Because there are a few that you can go down. So let's make this nice and quick and easy. Ebook is a very easy D tier. So is a free guide, right? There is just very simply such a small % of people that will actually sit down and read through these things. And these are very simply just the most attractive things to pure freebie hunters. You're not going to get very much from it, and I don't really particularly recommend it. So stay away from these because no one ever reads them, no one ever consumes them, and when you try and contact the people who did consume them, they're never usually happy to have you there. Checklists can be good. I'm going to put them in B tier. And then next up, we can look at a checklist. Checklist is okay, C tier. It can be a checklist around a particular problem that your client has and making sure that they've got all the steps in place to succeed with that. Again, it can bring a mixed bag, but to make a good checklist that actually attracts people who can afford to pay high ticket, that are serious customers, again, take some trial and error, and it's a little bit harder to do. And then we've got a cheat sheet. A cheat sheet is actually pretty good. Let me change the color of this so you can see this. But a cheat sheet I will actually put at B tier. Now, if you make a cheat sheet around an advanced problem that your buyer has, you can attract good people through it. But again, the thing with cheat sheets is, yes, you'll get more volume of these types of ads, but also just be prepared that you have to filter through a lot of the noise on this. Okay, and it's also very hard with all of the lead magnets that I've just showed you. It's hard to retain a lot of the leads and not have them just disappear using the beaker approach that I've just mentioned. And so this leads me to my last two. So the first one is obviously the video training. That's an A tier because that can be very similar to a VSL, right? In the sense that you can get some good people opting in to watch the training. Again, it can be hard though to apply these beaker approach principles to that, where you retain as many of the people from the training as possible, in terms of the fact that on the back end you need some complex email marketing and complex systems to retain and hold those people, which again adds complexity to you. And what I always say is coaches are coaches. You're not salesmen, you're not marketers. Make it as simple as possible, right? So again, these are good. A little bit trickier to really get them optimized, but if you can, they're definitely a good option to go down. And lastly, that leads me then to this, which is an Instagram page, which is S tier. And this links with everything that I've been sharing with you here. So Instagram as a platform is the best. This applies the beaker approach principles because your Instagram page becomes the lead magnet. So how this works, and what I found to work super well for all of my clients, including myself, is that you drive people to follow your Instagram page. And once they follow, they're in your world, they're in your ecosystem, they're in your beaker, so to speak. And you set up your Instagram page as a lead magnet. You don't just make a fancy page that looks nice. You make a page that, like I say, presents as a lead magnet, provides value, provides resources, and makes your target client go, wow, this person knows their stuff, knows what they're talking about. They are the go-to person on this. I want to follow this person, stay engaged with them. And that is how the beaker then comes in, because opting out of an email and an SMS sequence is easy, and most people will do that. But if they've, out of choice, followed an Instagram page which is valuable for them and continues to provide them value, it's very unlikely for them to opt out. And so what that then means for you is you can reach out to these people and book calls. You can run retargeting ads to these people and book calls. You can create content that engages people and gets them to reach back out. So what you've got there is a good first point into the beaker approach to capture leads and retain them. And then you can implement something like a VSL or a free training as a retargeting ad to get them re-engaged once they're already in your beaker. But the beauty of doing it that way is, like I said, you don't lose all of the leads, so you maximize your ad spend. So next, let's look at targeting settings. So now that you understand that you're going to run ads on Instagram to a lead magnet, and that lead magnet is your Instagram page, what is the best way to set up these targeting settings, which is very simple, and I'll walk you through now. First of all, Advantage Plus, always have this off. Like, unless you want to absolutely kill your budget and end up with a load of random leads who have no money to invest, then don't do it. Advantage Plus, what it does is it essentially says, like, even though you set your targeting up, you're allowing Meta to send the advert to people outside of your targeting bubble. So you can make a definition of, like, right, my target clients are always only 25 to 35, but because I've got Advantage Plus on, a 60-year-old could get my ad, which is pointless. You're wasting budget, right? So always turn that off. Now next we've got interests. So interests are the things that you give to the algorithm to give them a bit of direction. These are good. B tier, I recommend just putting broad interests in there. The algorithm's so advanced now and so advanced with the AI that if you're messaging in your Instagram page in this instance and the actual advert that you put out is very clear to your target avatar, these don't add much impact because the algorithm can scan your ad and know who to send it to. Location is A tier, it's still an important one. Again, if you're working with clients in US only, you're not going to want to capture people in Sweden, for example, right? So this is also important. Same with age. Again, like, they're not crazy settings, but they are important because you need that definition of who your niche is. Broad targeting, again, is A tier. Like I said here with the interest, the broader you leave it, the better, because very simply, there are just so much advancement now in the algorithm and the AI and how far it can push your ad that you don't necessarily need to do too much, right? Let your ad do the talking, let the words that you say in the advert do the targeting for you, which a lot of them do. And then lastly, we've got manual placements. So we're just going off the board here, but it's okay. Manual placements are A tier also. So again, when you're setting up campaigns, Instagram will give you unfavorable options in terms of where to place the ads. So always make sure you have full control when you put the placements in areas which are very easy to read and consume all elements of your ad, right? Because if they're, for example, in Instagram Explore Home, you're just a little piece of noise on that page with no clear thing of what your ad's about. It's a waste of budget to turn that off. So those are how I recommend that you rank your targeting settings and what to focus on. And saying that, on reflection, I'd actually put broad targeting in S tier, just because that's the most important thing now. Let your ad do the talking and leave your targeting a bit broader. And to wrap this up, we've got what type of creative to use for your ad, which ones are actually best. So let's start with a still image. Can be good. You need to be very, very good at essentially what you've got in the ad to make people click. I'm going to put that a B tier, because to be fair, some of my best performing ads have been just static images with some text on, but they've taken a lot of hours of thought to actually pull those together. So that's that. User generated content. These are an interesting one. I'd also put these at B tier. So user generated content is when you get somebody else to film your ads for you. Now, these are useful depending on which stage in your journey you're at. So if you're a bit of a newer coach, I'd say you're spending less than like $2,000 a day on your ads, then you want to be the face of the ads yourself. User generated content is more effective when people are getting bored of seeing your face, essentially, and you want to ramp it up that way. So that's a B tier option. Memes, they're an interesting one. Have C tier. I've spent a lot of money testing memes as ads, and here's the thing, they work well and you do get some quality leads through there, but you get more volume, and majority of that volume is just rubbish. Like when you do, there's just less consistency in the quality because it is a meme. So I would try to avoid them. Testimonial ads are definitely A tier. Like if you can get a client on a video to sing your praises about what you do, how good you are, and how effective your coaching, your service, your info product has been, that does a lot of heavy lifting, because especially in this space where there's such little trust now, unfortunately, that goes a mile, essentially. And lastly is video ads, and I recommend those as S tier. So when you're running video ads, essentially, to your Instagram page, which is now your lead magnet, the best way to do that is just to have really casual adverts that come across as a piece of content, and those perform the best. And this is essentially my ranking of the best ad setup to use and what I've seen to work after spending 150k on ads in a pretty short period of time. So yeah, these are your ads to use. This is your setup to reference going forward. And this by far, this top line will take you a long, long way in helping you to succeed with your ad campaigns. So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions at all, my Instagram's below. Feel free to drop me a message. If not, and you want to have a chat with me one-to-one, my calendar's also below, so feel free to book in. But aside from that, I hope you found that useful and have a good day.